Hey guys, my name is Jamie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if this isn't your first time. Today we are talking about Hoya care. I have many Hoyas in my collection and I think they're really easy to care for if you're kind of a new plant owner. So I wanted to take you through a few of my favorite tips and my watering schedule and how I take care of these beautiful plants. So I have three different types of Hoya here to show you today, but this care really works for most Hoyas. There are a few that are a little pickier and I don't recommend those for new plant enthusiasts, but these that I'm going to talk about today, I would highly recommend for anyone who's just getting into owning plants or has been into owning plants for a while and is just learning a little bit more about Hoyas. So the first one I have here is a Hoya Carnosa Jade. This one has the thicker leaves. I will always recommend the thicker leaved Hoyas because they are easier to care for. And this one I bought about a year ago, maybe actually a little bit less, and it has grown like crazy. It's just trailing and trailing. So as I said, I have several different varieties of Hoyas. I would say this is one of my quickest growing. Hoyas, as a rule, are not super fast growing. So Hoya Carnosa Jade. So the next one I have to show you is, it looks very similar, I would say, but is very different. So this one is a Hoya Australis. This one has grown amazingly fast. So I got this one at my local plant shop and it has just grown like crazy. You can see it's even got a couple of smaller leaves there. So, and you know, it's just trailing everywhere. It's a wonderful plant. I love trailing plants in general, and Hoyas are definitely in that category. They trail quite a bit once you get them to grow. So I've got one more here for you. This is a Hoya Carnosa Crimson Princess. This one is very large. I think I actually bought this at Walmart maybe about a year ago or so, and it was already pretty good size, but it's starting to trail a little bit more. These, I would say, are one of the slower growing plants, the Hoya Carnosa Crimson Princess, Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen. Those varieties do tend to grow a little bit slower, but I have got some new growth here. I don't know if you can see those tiny leaves, but definitely new growth is happening. So let's talk about care for these guys. Hoyas love sunlight. So I keep my Hoyas mostly in windows that get bright afternoon light. I do have a couple in windows that get bright morning light. Either way, they're getting bright light part of the day at least. I will say my Hoya Australis, I have that in our mud room, which is the coldest room in the house. And I think that's the one that's growing the fastest, oddly enough. So it may be that they like a little bit of cooler temperatures, but that one is directly in a window, which definitely helps. And that window gets afternoon sunlight. So for watering, I water these guys when the first probably ½ inch to an inch of soil is dry. These I have on about a weekly watering schedule at this point. That seems to be about how long it takes for the soil to dry, especially in my house, which tends to be dry anyway. If you tend to have more humidity in your house, you might want to wait a little bit longer between waterings. These guys don't like to be soaked. As you probably could see, I have two of my Hoyas here in ceramic pots. I actually have most of my Hoyas in ceramic pots. Again, they don't mind being a little bit drier, so I think the ceramic pots are great for them, especially like terracotta kind of soaks up all that water and doesn't give as much to the plant. So I would say that ceramic pots are probably better, but I do have this Hoya Carnosa Crimson Princess over here, and that one is in a plastic pot and seems to do just fine. I just make sure it's plenty dry before I water it. I will also say that in the wild, Hoyas tend to like climb on trees and hook onto trees. So when I repot these, whenever I get them from the nursery or, you know, my local Walmart or Lowe's or whatever, once they're ready to be repotted, I will put a little bit of bark in with them. You can just buy in your local garden center. And I think that helps. It gives those roots something to grab onto like they're used to doing in the wild. So the last thing I'll say is that these care tips are all geared toward these thicker leafed Hoyas. So Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen and Princess. You can tell the difference between Hoya Carnosa Crimson Princess and the Queen based on the color of the leaves. The Princess has the white on the inside and the Queen has the white on the outside around the edges of the leaves. So these tips also work for Hoya obovata, Hoya Australis, Hoya Carnosa Jade. all those varieties with the thicker leaves that are maybe the more common varieties. I also have a Hoya Carnosa, which I will say has those slightly thinner leaves, and I have not done so well with it. It's not an easy care Hoya by any means. So definitely if you're in the market for an easier care Hoya, I highly recommend one of these with the thicker leaves. So I will also tell you, got this little tendril like almost hitting me in the head. I will also tell you that I am not a fertilizer. So I don't fertilize plants. The reason I don't fertilize my plants is because of my pets. They tend to get into the plants that I fertilize. So I just kind of hope for the best. And they seem to do really well without fertilizer. I take good care of them. I repot them regularly when they need it. They probably would grow faster if they had fertilizer. So some of these, like the Crimson Princess or the Crimson Queen, that are kind of my slow growers, may grow a little bit faster if you added some fertilizer. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. I love to read your comments. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.